The stories I almost didn't tell. I'm laughing because it was virtually all of them. I've been writing publicly since 2012. It started with plant based recipes because recipes are safe. No one gets offended by lentils, but there was one guy who was very insulted by edamame. I wish I was kidding. Occasionally, I'd sneak in a story, a small family moment, a glimpse of real life with a husband and two little kids. And every time I did, I'd feel that familiar tightening in my chest. Will anyone care? Will they judge me? Will people say shitty things? Some did, but something else happened too. People wrote back, a lot of them. They shared their own stories, their own struggles, their sentiments. I thought I was the only one. That's when I learned something important. Stories create connection. Advice alone doesn't. It turns out it would take me a few more years to really get it. Okay, great. So people want stories. Still, when the stirrings from my own book got loud, I froze. I had stories I was too afraid to tell. So I did what many writers do. I stalled. Not now, maybe never, maybe when my parents aren't around anymore. Meanwhile, I was writing constantly, just not for me. I left my management consulting job in 2017 and built a writing and coaching business. I wrote for clients, helped them with blogs, emails, websites, social content, and even their books. On the outside, it looked like I had it together. On the inside, the sentences that mattered most stayed trapped in my body. I was writing consistently, just never the thing that mattered most. So I decided to start the book. It's in all caps because this book felt important. This was the book I knew that would set the stage for more books. And that first draft, not gently, not intuitively, but with force. I sat down on a random October day, blasted Metallica, wrote 30 chapter ideas on separate index cards, and told myself I'd write a chapter a day. And that November, I did exactly that. Fast, relentless, no revising, no feeling, just output. By December, I had a full draft, 50,000 words, and no connection to it. I avoided that book for the next 11 months until the following November. When I finally returned to it, editing felt like dragging myself toward a finish line that didn't exist. The writing was technically fine, but it was hollow. And one day, I said out loud to the other 5 ladies in my mastermind group, I'm a writer who isn't writing. And that's when I saw it. I wasn't blocked, I was hiding. And that first draft of the book was 95% advice, expert voice, self development, proving, performing, ego, fully online. Then something unexpected happened. A clairvoyant told me, completely unprompted, she hadn't even seen the book, this isn't a self development book, it's a memoir. I laughed, then I panicked. Oh shit. Why would anyone care about my life? I'm not famous. My stories are boring. I don't want people I know to read this. But when I hired an editor and started adding my stories, the book came alive. Not because they were dramatic, because they were true, honest, real, and they were mine. Layoffs, immigration, love, motherhood, starting over more than once. The stuff most people carry quietly. The stories gave the ideas something to stand on. Were they vulnerable? Yep. Were they too much? I thought so. Did everyone I know read the book? Yep. And it was okay. I finished Unfussy Life, the book, and published it in April 2021. What I learned changed how I write forever. Force doesn't create truth. Linear thinking doesn't unlock story. The parts we're afraid to share are often the most resonant. When I stopped performing and let my soul back in, the words came out quickly. Today, I write with flow, not force, using nonlinear thinking and quantum energy principles, starting with the stories I'd rather avoid. And it turns out these are the ones that change lives, including the writers. That would be me. Your story hasn't disappeared. It's waiting. There was a moment after the first version of the book was done when I realized something awkward. I hadn't actually met myself on the page. I had written about the ideas, I had written honestly, but didn't write the why. I had written like someone who knew how to write, but hadn't yet embraced the identity of author. I hadn't written like someone who was willing to be seen. I said yes to starting, and I needed to start saying yes to myself, my true self. That draft was capital M messy, good enough to work into something practical, technically solid, enough words to shape into something. It was workable, though with plenty of typos, missing Oxford commas. That's surrendered writing, and that's what I teach. The draft, though, was totally lifeless. I didn't know it at the time, but I was treating the book like a problem to solve instead of a living, breathing piece of work. I thought the book needed to be the be all end all of my work. So I pushed. I went through that first round of edits after 11 months of letting the material collect digital dust, trying to make it stronger. I edited out glimpses of me where I thought it was too much. I tried to outbrain the thing that wanted to move through me. Nothing changed. Still, the book was flat. Anyone could have slapped their name on the front. What finally did change everything wasn't discipline or strategy, it was listening. Listening to the scenes that kept replaying in my mind. Should I really tell this story? Listening to the sentences that arrived uninvited, at 2 a.m. nonetheless. And listening to the quiet discomfort that told me, this is the part you're glossing over as if it doesn't matter, but it does matter. When I stopped forcing the book to be something, it started to breathe. Imagine writing as you exhale. The words come out. No thinking, no censoring, no filtering, no performing. Flow. I dug for stories and told most of them. I wish I could tell you that reading some of those stories back during the book editing process felt incredible. It was still uncomfortable, but it was me. That's when I understood something I now see again and again in the writers I work with. Most people don't have a writing problem. They have a relationship with their draft that's frozen in fear, perfectionism, or control. They're waiting for clarity before they begin. They're waiting for permission. Maybe when 10 people tell me I should write the book, maybe I'll go for it. They're waiting for the right structure, the perfect outline. They're waiting for the perfect time, when work and life aren't so busy. Meanwhile, the book is already alive. It's just been waiting for a different kind of attention. And P.S., that doesn't involve thinking about it or feeling into it. Here's what I see over and over. The writers who come to me don't say, I don't know how to write. They say, I have too many ideas. How do I choose? I don't know where to start. I keep starting and stopping. I've been circling this book for years. Can I really do this? None of them are blocked. They're standing at the edge of something meaningful, and edges require a different approach. Not linear, not forceful, not hustled into existence with black coffee and barely any sleep. Not intense daily writing challenges that ignore your body and nature's rhythms. Not escaping to a cabin in the woods for a month, but alive, responsive, limitless. I'm excited to introduce you to the Living Draft. I created the Living Draft for people who are ready to stop circling and start allowing the book that's already here. This is a live writing experience where we work with nonlinear thinking, energetic momentum, fast, unforced drafting, and the stories you've been avoiding gently, safely, and with an open heart. This is probably different than any way you've written before because you're not writing something you've written before. This is for you if you want to write a book or blogs that feel like you. You're tired of waiting for clarity, the right topic, or more time before you begin. You're worried you might talk about that someday book forever. You sense that speed comes from alignment, not pressure and deadlines. You want to move quickly without ditching depth. Over our time together, you'll access ideas you didn't know were available. You'll write from instinct instead of self-judgment. You'll learn to quiet that inner chatter while you write. You'll move through fear and perfectionism without battling them. You'll apply nonlinear and energetic principles to shape your story. You'll make real, tangible progress on your memoir or nonfiction book. By the end, you will have a concrete start or major momentum on your book or a blog series. You'll have practices you can return to whenever writing stalls. I have a feeling it won't, though. You'll also have renewed confidence in your voice and what it carries. This isn't about finishing a perfect manuscript. It's about your story, your impact. And once the draft is alive, the rest can flow. While I took the long road to getting my stories out there and publishing Unfussy Life, that first draft needed to come alive first. So this experience, why live, why now? There's something that happens when writers enter a sacred container built for writing. Resistance chills out, courage rises, sentences flow faster. And perhaps most importantly, you realize you're not alone in this threshold moment. The living draft is an experience that is intentionally small and intimate, and I'll be working closely with everyone who joins. If you've been feeling that quiet nudge, the one that says, this story isn't going away, consider this your invitation. You don't need a plan. You don't need an outline. You don't need to know where it ends. You just need to be willing to begin. I invite you to read the full details and join us inside the living draft. There's no flashy sales page with countdown timers, simple, clean, calming. It's simple, clean, calming to the system. You'll see the details in a Google document. You can find it at theintuitivewritingschool.com. And if you're still unsure, let me leave you with this. The book you want to write isn't asking to be perfect. It's asking to live. I can't wait for you to join us.